Battle lines have been drawn as the row over the January 4th resignation of Claudine Gay, as president of Harvard University, escalates. Everyone suspects that what did for Gay was her mealy-mouthed performance before Congress when asked about campus antisemitism. But her critics are careful to steer the blame towards allegations that Gay's academic record is thin, and her work contains instances of plagiarism. British commentator Julia Hartley-Brewer summoned all of her authority to inform viewers of her January 4th talk TV program that Gay was simply an awful woman, a horrible human being, who only got her prestigious job because she was black. Wow, is getting this personal the way to get clicks and higher ratings now? 189,000 YouTube views shows that Hartley-Brewer is a master of her craft. In Hartley-Brewer's world, Claudine Gay is yet another diversity hire who got found out. Hartley-Brewer offered her own opinion as evidence, describing Gay as a nasty piece of work, whose career in Harvard's top job was pitiful. Ms. Hartley-Brewer is the daughter of a failed Labour Party MP and received her degree from Oxford University. Unquestionably, she has earned every single one of her many lucrative jobs in the British media, entirely on her own merit. If Hartley-Brewer is not well placed to recognize the beneficiary of a diversity scam, then no one is. Claudine Gay fits a quota, Hartley-Brewer thundered. According to the TV journalist, Gay was the least qualified person to be in charge of, quote, one of the greatest universities in the world. On and on went Hartley-Brewer, as if to confirm an iron truth of our digital universe. That is, bashing a black woman gets lots, and lots, and lots of views. Over on Fox News, a presenter asked Washington Free Beacon journalist Aaron Sibarium to respond to a hit piece on Claudine Gay, authored by New York Times columnist Bret Stephens. Sibarium, introduced as the reporter who broke the story on Gay's alleged plagiarism, was walked through Stephens's criticisms of the former Harvard chief. Stephens was quoted as asking how someone with a scholarly record as thin as hers, someone who had not written a single book, someone who has published only 11 journal articles in the past 26 years, and made no seminal contributions to her field, could reach the pinnacle of American academia? Sibarium responded approvingly with his own analysis.
I think it's hard to speculate about exactly why they chose her to be president.
What was this? How could Mr. Sibarium lead with, "It's hard to speculate"? Speculation is the entire business model of the channel. Fox News wasn't paying a hefty appearance fee for this kind of timidity, and might have had a producer shriek into Sibarium's earpiece that he was expected to deliver Hartley-Brewer-style punditry to spike those viewing numbers. So Aaron Sibarium did his best to oblige.
There are obviously theories that it had to do with her race, with her ideology, all of that. I think that part of the story, that has not received sufficient coverage, is that Claudine Gay was really groomed as a professional college administrator. She was the dean of the Faculty of Arts and Sciences, before becoming president of Harvard. She had spent much of her career at Harvard, not as a scholar but primarily as an administrator.
Sibarium's lengthy response showed that he has yet to acquire Hartley-Brewer's effortless skills as a media assassin. But after a few more minutes, his main point became clearer.
She kind of occupied this entirely parallel track, parallel from that of scholarship, which is really more focused on simply making things run. Obviously people can debate whether there should be such parallel tracks in the university, in the first place, but in a certain sense, I think she's kind of an avatar for the larger transformation of higher education over the past several decades.
So, Mr. Sibarium, do tell us how academia has been transformed. And by whom? And for what purpose?
It has shifted from a largely kind of faculty-governed enterprise to a largely administratively covered enterprise, at the expense, many would argue, of traditional scholarly virtues.
The 15-minute Fox News segment ended with a few more potshots at the crestfallen Claudine Gay. The former president of Harvard University was accused of being a serial plagiarist. The institution was criticized for being a black box, which refuses to respond to direct journalistic inquiry. But Gay's critics are not having it their own way. Moira Donegan published a trenchant article in the Guardian newspaper on January 5, under the headline, Claudine Gay's resignation had nothing to do with plagiarism. The subheading stirred the pot still further. Her resignation is merely the latest episode in the right wing's assault on education, a project that has increased in its virulence in recent years. Early in the article, Donegan reminds readers that Gay was Harvard's first black president, and only the second woman to lead the university. These points become more salient later in her piece. Donegan is an unconvincing witness when discussing the allegations of plagiarism. But she is much more confident when offering her interpretation of the mood music that surrounds Gay's resignation. She writes,
"It is not just that Gay's ouster has nothing to do with plagiarism, it is that it has nothing to do with Claudine Gay. Between her congressional testimony in December and her resignation on Tuesday, the New York Times alone published more than 60 items about Gay, breathlessly covering alleged plagiarism in her 25-year-old dissertation. CNN joined in, granting credulous coverage to claims that Gay had plagiarized in graduate school, and granting airtime to claims made by the likes of Bill Ackman, a billionaire hedge fund manager and Harvard donor, who openly stated that he hoped to dislodge Gay because of his disdain for DEI, the corporate euphemism for racial integration efforts. The media seemed assured that Gay had done something wrong. Maybe it was about academic integrity, or maybe it was about the supposed anti-Semitism on campus. Maybe it was the racist subtext, all but declared by Gay's right-wing critics, that a black woman, who attained a position of superlative prestige and authority, could necessarily not have done so by merit.
Ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Gay's demise is a racist plot to oust a 53-year-old black woman who had reached the pinnacle of her career. Black professionals already know that, should they be involved in a workplace fight, they are one pissed off, influential white person away from losing everything. So Donegan's accusation, that Gay had been the victim of racism, landed with all the force of a swinging panga on a porn set. Having detonated the racism truth bomb, Donegan moved on to, perhaps, the real point of her long article. She writes,
Claudine Gay's resignation is merely the latest episode in the right wing's assault on education. This project has increased in its virulence and success in recent years, and has been decades in the making. Republicans hate education, and they have demonstrated this hate, in both their policymaking and in the public theater of their cultural grievance. Republicans defund and privatize public schools, and they attempt to make public enemies of teachers. They ban books, force educators into the closet, and impose abstinence-only sex education.
My goodness. Donegan's Republican rap sheet is long indeed. And her prosecutorial argument against the bad faith actors who pushed for this high-profile resignation didn't end there.
It may be that Republicans are hostile to education because they believe that the world they want to usher in, one in which hierarchies of race and gender are entrenched, naturalized, and given the force of law, is not possible to impose, except on a population that has been kept ignorant.
Okay. I see. Claudine Gay is merely a small tasty morsel, who has been swallowed up by forces waging their own larger culture clash. Now I get it. The only talking point that Donegan doesn't address in her article is the long-held right-wing fear that academic institutions have been taken over and ruined by cultural Marxists. Maybe she'll get to that in another podcast. Thanks for listening.